Most men aren't afraid of being alone. They're afraid of what being alone will force them to face. Because when the noise drops, when the phone stops buzzing, when nobody's calling, when you're not flirting, not arguing, not performing, you're left with something most men spend their entire lives avoiding: the truth. And truth has weight, it has a sound. It hits your chest differently when there's no distraction to soften it. That's why some men can't sit in silence for 5 minutes. They'll open TikTok, open Instagram, open WhatsApp, open anything. Not because they're bored, because they're running. They call it loneliness, but half the time it isn't loneliness, it's withdrawal. It's the mind begging for stimulation because real life feels too uncomfortable to sit inside. And that's why this topic matters. Because silence isn't just peace. Silence is training. Silence is exposure. Silence is strength. For a certain type of man, solitude isn't suffering. It's a weapon. Not a weapon to hurt people. A weapon to protect your frame. A weapon to protect your standards. A weapon to protect your future. Because the man who can walk alone without needing applause becomes the most dangerous man in the room. Dangerous how? Dangerous because he can't be controlled with attention. Dangerous because he can't be controlled with sex. Dangerous because he can't be controlled with guilt. Dangerous because he can't be controlled with fear of abandonment. Dangerous because he doesn't fold just to keep someone close. He doesn't cling. He doesn't bargain. He doesn't chase. He doesn't panic when someone withdraws. He returns to peace. And peace is a dangerous place because from peace, you become untouchable. So in this video, I'm going to break down the power of being alone in a way most men have never heard it explained. 3 things: why being alone exposes the real you, how solitude makes you mentally stronger without turning you emotionally dead, and why chosen solitude makes you magnetic, how it creates a presence people can't manipulate, can't decode, and can't replace. Stay with me, because once you understand these 3 points, you'll never look at silence the same way again. 1. Being alone exposes the real you. Let's paint this clean. When you're around people, you can hide. You can laugh even if you're broke. You can act confident even if you're insecure. You can act unbothered even if your heart is bleeding. You can talk like a leader while your life is undisciplined. You can carry yourself like you have direction while you're secretly drifting. Because people don't see your private life. They don't see the nights you can't sleep. They don't see what you keep postponing. They don't see the habit you keep feeding. They don't see the goals you keep avoiding. They don't see the anger you swallow. They don't see the fear you don't admit. They don't see the self-respect you keep trading for approval. You can dress up a life in public. You can keep the mask on. You can keep the performance going. But solitude removes the mask. Silence doesn't let you perform. Silence doesn't let you distract yourself with roles. When you're alone, there's no audience to impress and no enemy to blame. There's just you. And that's where most men run. Not from people. From that moment at night when the phone goes down, the room gets quiet, and you feel that tightness in your chest. That voice that says, "Bro, what are you doing with your life?" That moment is the gateway. It's the moment where reality tries to speak to you, and your nervous system fights it by reaching for noise. Because attention is anesthesia. Validation is anesthesia. Drama is anesthesia. Even flirting can be anesthesia. Some men don't chase women because they want love. They chase women because they can't sit with themselves. They need constant external proof that they matter. They need messages. They need calls. They need good morning texts. They need a woman to mirror back that they're valuable. Because without external validation, they don't feel real. That's not confidence, that's dependence. And a dependent man is easy to control. Now, here's something most men don't want to admit. There is a side of you you don't show the world: the jealous part, the insecure part, the approval hungry part, the part that wants revenge, the part that fears being replaced, the part that fears being nobody. Call it ego, call it shadow, call it the parts you don't like. It doesn't matter what you call it. The point is, it's there. Average men pretend it's not. They build a public identity and then privately negotiate with weakness every day. They act strong outside and collapse inside. So they keep noise around them like a drug. They don't want quiet because quiet makes them honest. But when you choose solitude the right way, something powerful happens. You stop lying to yourself. You sit down and you say, all right, this is me. This is what I'm avoiding. This is where I'm weak. This is what I keep postponing. This is what I need to face. And once you can tell the truth, you can build. That's why silence turns boys into men. Men don't grow in comfort. Men grow in truth. Your life won't change until you can sit alone and face yourself without flinching. Not because you're punishing yourself, because you're finally being real. And yes, exposure is painful, but exposure is also the doorway, because you can't fix what you refuse to see. Solitude exposes you. That's the first power, and that's why so many men avoid it. They're not afraid of being alone. They're afraid of seeing who they've become. The modern trap, noise addiction. Let's go deeper, because this isn't just philosophy. This is biology. Your brain adapts to whatever you feed it. If you feed it constant stimulation, scrolling, porn, videos, constant messaging, constant drama, silence starts to feel like pain. Not because silence is bad, but because your brain is addicted to dopamine spikes. So when you sit alone, your brain starts itching. It starts reaching. It starts bargaining. Just check the phone. Just open something. Just get a hit. That's not loneliness. That's withdrawal. And until you recognize it as withdrawal, you'll mislabel it and run from it. You'll tell yourself you need more friends, more dates, more attention, more noise. But what you really need is more self-control. The man who can sit in silence is the man who can sit in discomfort. And the man who can sit in discomfort can do anything, because every level up in life requires discomfort. Discipline is discomfort. Building is discomfort. Training is discomfort. Learning is discomfort. Starting over is discomfort. So if you can't handle silence, you can't handle growth. Solitude is the gym for your mind. 2. Solitude makes you mentally stronger without making you emotionally dead. Now listen carefully. This is where most men get it wrong. When men hear "be alone," some take it in the worst direction. They become bitter. They become cold. They start treating everyone like a threat. They start calling emotions weakness. They start hiding behind "I don't care." That isn't strength. That's armor. And armor is what you wear when you're scared of being hurt again. Real strength is different. Real strength is emotional discipline. Cold men avoid connection because they fear pain. Strong men can connect without losing their frame. Cold men punish people with distance. Strong men use distance to protect peace. Cold men pretend they don't feel. Strong men feel, but they don't become slaves to feelings. Solitude, done correctly, doesn't remove your heart. It puts your heart under your control. And that changes everything about how you move. Because the more time you spend alone, focused, intentional, the more your mind hardens in a good way. You become less reactive. You stop rushing to explain yourself. You stop rushing to prove your value. You stop chasing people who don't choose you. Why? Because solitude teaches you the most dangerous truth in dating and life. You survive without them. Most manipulation only works on one kind of man, the man who fears being left. That's it. If someone knows you can't handle silence, they have a remote control for your emotions. They pull back, you chase. They get cold, you over explain. They threaten to leave, you beg. Not because they're evil, because human beings test what they can control. And weak men make it easy. Weak men tolerate disrespect because they're addicted to company. They accept being treated like an option because they fear being alone. They stay in situations that drain them because they confuse peace with loneliness. They think, if I leave, I'll be alone. But the truth is, if you stay, you're alone anyway, just with someone in the room. Solitude training breaks the addiction. And once that addiction breaks, you gain a power that ends games instantly. Walk-away power. Walk-away power is what makes a man dangerous to manipulation. Because now, if someone disrespects you, you don't argue for basic decency. You don't write paragraphs. You don't beg for clarity. You don't chase closure. You detach, not from emotions, from nonsense. And that shocks people, because most people are used to controlling men through emotion. They expect you to panic when they withdraw. They expect you to fold when they go silent. They expect you to start performing like a clown to win them back. But a man trained by solitude doesn't panic. He returns to his life. And his life is not built around being chosen. His life is built around being solid. That's the difference. The key? Solitude is not isolation. This matters. Solitude is chosen. Isolation is imposed. Solitude is purpose. Isolation is collapse. Solitude is you stepping away to build. Isolation is you withdrawing because you feel unworthy. Solitude creates strength. Isolation creates bitterness. So we have to be precise. The goal is not to become socially dead. The goal is to become internally stable. A man who's internally stable can be alone without feeling like he's disappearing. He doesn't need constant proof that he exists. He doesn't need constant validation. He has an internal spine, and that spine is built in silence. What solitude actually gives you. Solitude gives you clarity. When you spend time alone, you stop outsourcing your identity. You stop needing people to tell you who you are. You start hearing your own standards again. You start noticing what you tolerate. You start seeing what you've been compromising. You start noticing what drains you. And you start correcting course. Most men don't lack potential. They lack reflection. They're busy all day, distracted all night, and then surprised their life doesn't change. Of course it doesn't change. You don't even sit still long enough to realize what needs changing. Solitude forces reflection. Reflection forces responsibility. Responsibility creates power. This is why men who master solitude stop being easily triggered. They stop being easily baited. They stop being easily guilted. They stop being easily controlled because they practiced being okay without external comfort. And once you're okay without comfort, you stop making desperate decisions. Desperate decisions are what ruin men. Desperate men marry the wrong woman. Desperate men tolerate disrespect. Desperate men chase unstable people. Desperate men make financial decisions to impress. Desperate men sacrifice standards for attention. Solitude cures. Desperation. 3. Chosen solitude makes you magnetic. Now let's talk about attraction, real attraction, not internet fantasy. People don't chase what is available 24/7. They chase what feels rare. They chase what feels grounded. They chase what feels like it has standards. We live in a world where everyone is loud. Everyone posts everything. Everyone overshares their feelings. Everyone broadcasts their drama. Everyone tries to stay relevant. Everyone begs to be seen. In that environment, the quiet man becomes a force, not because he's trying to be mysterious, because he's not thirsty, because he doesn't need the crowd, because he doesn't need the argument, because he doesn't need to announce his value. His absence makes noise. His calm makes people uneasy because they can't read him. And what people can't read, they respect or they fear. Women notice this first because most women are used to men auditioning, men trying to impress, men trying to entertain, men trying to prove, men trying to keep her attention like it's oxygen. But when you're comfortable alone, you don't audition, you select. And that shifts everything because now she realizes I can't control this man with attention. He doesn't need it. I can't punish him with silence. He lives in silence. I can't make him jealous to gain power. He doesn't chase. I can't bait him into arguments to see if he'll crumble. He won't play. So she starts respecting you. And respect is the foundation of real attraction. Not looks, not lines, not game. Respect. But here's the rule, and you need to understand it. This only works when solitude is chosen, not forced. There's a type of man who is alone because he's building. He's alone because he's leveling up. He's alone because he's protecting his mind. He's alone because he's training discipline. That man is magnetic. Then there's a type of man who is alone because he got rejected and now he hates the world. He's alone, but he's not peaceful. He's lonely and bitter, and bitterness has a smell. People can feel it. So if you're going to be alone, do it with purpose. Not to punish women, not to prove a point, not to hide, but to become the kind of man who doesn't chase anything. A man who doesn't move from hunger. A man who moves from fullness. That's the dangerous man. Dangerous to manipulation. Dangerous to disrespect. Dangerous to anyone who needs you, weak to control you. The difference between silence and avoidance. Let's sharpen this because a lot of men confuse silence with avoidance. Avoidance is when you hide from discomfort. Silence is when you face discomfort without reacting. Avoidance makes you weaker over time. Silence makes you stronger over time. If you sit alone and all you do is scroll, you're not practicing solitude, you're practicing distraction in private. Real solitude is when you remove stimulation long enough to hear your own mind. And yes, at first your mind will scream. It will bring up regret. It will bring up shame. It will bring up anxiety. It will bring up things you've postponed. That's why men run. But if you stay in it long enough, something flips. The noise starts to settle. You stop being scared of your own thoughts. You start seeing clearly. And clarity is power. The Solitude Protocol. How to build this power without becoming cold. If you want to turn this into something real, here's how you do it. Not theory, practice. Step 1, daily silence reps. Every day, sit in silence for 10 minutes. No phone, no music, no podcast, just you. Your mind will hate it at first. That's the point. You're training the part of you that can endure discomfort without escaping. Step 2, write the truth after those 10 minutes. Write 1 page. Not a journal entry for emotions, a truth report. Answer these. What am I avoiding? What do I know I need to change? Where am I being weak? What standard am I compromising? What's the next right action? This is how you turn solitude into forward momentum. Step 3, Build a life that makes solitude easy. Solitude is hard when your life is empty. When you have no mission, you chase people to fill the gap. So build structure, train your body, train your mind, build your mission. A man with purpose doesn't fear being alone. He uses it. Step 4. Cut the dopamine leaks. If you live on stimulation, scrolling, porn, constant messaging, silence will feel unbearable. Lower the stimulation and your baseline peace returns. You don't need to become a monk. Just stop flooding your brain with noise every hour. Step 5. Practice walkaway power in small situations. Stop arguing for respect. If someone disrespects you, set a boundary once. If it continues, you detach. Not with rage, with calm. The more you practice this, the less you fear losing people. And once you stop fearing loss, you stop being controllable. What dangerous really means. When I say dangerous, I don't mean violent. I mean uncontrollable. Not uncontrollable like chaotic. Uncontrollable like unbuyable. You can't buy his peace with attention. You can't threaten his peace with silence. You can't hook him with intermittent affection. You can't pull him into drama to weaken him because he has something most men don't have: an internal home. He doesn't use relationships to escape himself. He uses relationships to share himself. Big difference. A man who uses relationships as escape becomes needy. A man who has peace alone becomes selective. That's why solitude creates attraction without trying. It changes your posture, your tone, your timing, your decisions. It makes you move slower, cleaner, more deliberate. You stop chasing. You start choosing. The real reason most men avoid solitude, because solitude demands maturity. It demands you stop running. It demands you stop numbing. It demands you stop outsourcing your worth. It demands you stop needing everyone to approve of you. And once you handle that, you become a man like never before. A man whose peace is not fragile. A man who can't be played. A man who can't be controlled. A man who can walk away without collapsing. A man who is calm. And calm makes people nervous because they can't read you. They can't move you. They can't shake you. That's what dangerous means. So here's my challenge. If you're ready to stop chasing and start building, comment, "I choose power," and then prove it. 10 minutes of silence today. No phone, no noise, just you. Meet yourself. Because the man you become on the other side of that silence is the man nobody can manipulate.